I think one of the talking points, Brent, when looking at Vanderbilt, and of course, the quarterback's mobile. He's a playmaker. I mean, he as Vanderbilt's offense goes as he goes. He's a bit banged up right now, but we know he's a runner. And, leads Vanderbilt in rushing yards and rushing attempts and rushing touchdowns. Skylar Locklear, is not as good as what you're going to see on Saturday, but it did give Tennessee a little bit of a glimpse. And then Tennessee's played mobile quarterbacks. That is something that Tennessee will need to do a better job of this Saturday than it did last Saturday at certain points in times, because he's going to run it and third and mid, third and 7 or 8, very attainable for Pavia.
Yeah, I mean, I think the quarterback's legs, yeah, okay, maybe there's the fact that Locklear from UTEP could run, but I think one of the differences when you look at what Vanderbilt's doing in the run game, I mean, how many design quarterback runs were there by UTEP versus
none
being scrambled? And I think when you look at Vanderbilt, there's a lot of design quarterback runs, really adept with the ball handling, that type of thing. And I think that's a bit different than Locklear. So, yeah, I mean, in the rush lanes, you've got to do some things there. But, I mean, finding the football, staying in your lane, running your keys, all the things you're supposed to do will be really challenging, because I don't know, and Rob, Austin, Eric, anybody jump in here, who have they played that's been really quarterback-heavy run by design runs? Tylen Green from Arkansas is a guy who can scramble around and make plays. We saw that with Locklear. Milroe, I guess, is the only one. I don't know that they ran him a ton. They did run him some. That's probably the only one that they played that's been a ton of design runs for them. So that's a little bit different that Tennessee will have to deal with on Saturday compared to what they just played with UTEP and their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, with those design quarterback runs, Rob, I mean, you have to count for, you have an extra blocker. Tennessee did at least one design quarterback run, and then, of course, Nico pulled that other one and ran around for 29 yards. But when you do that, you go into the play knowing you have 10 blockers, essentially, and that's the difference in, design and then kind of scrambling around and then just trying to get what you can. Gap integrity, rush lanes having to stay slim, ends not getting too far upfield. Linebackers are going to be stressed in this game for sure. I mean, Arian Carter, Jeremiah T-Lander, Jalen Smith, whoever's in there, Caleb Perry, they're going to have to be on their A game, because that is going to be a focus for Vanderbilt. It's got to be. I mean, that's the nucleus of their offense, that and the tight end.
Yeah, and they're not explosive at all, but I'll tip my hat to them. I mean, they manufacture first downs. I mean, I think that's how to me, that's kind of how they must look at it from the outside looking in, because they don't get chunk plays. They don't have big play guys on the perimeter, but they manage to move the chains. I mean, their average yards per play is one of the lowest in the league, but they're right in the middle of the pack when it comes to third down conversion. So they do a good job of staying on schedule, third manageable. But you're right, EC. Pavia, huge part of what they do. You wonder about his health, this week, especially tough game in Baton Rouge for them that last week. But what I like about this matchup for Tennessee, they didn't do a good job of it at Georgia, but generating negative plays, something they've been great at. One of the best in the country. They had 14 tackles for loss last weekend at UTEP. And this Vanderbilt offense, man, you get them off schedule, 2nd and 12. That's a tough hill for this offense to climb. That's one of the reasons. A lot of things I like about this matchup, but that's one, is the way Tennessee can generate negative plays defensively, and it doesn't have to be a 7-yard sack. I mean, this offense loses 3 yards, and it changes everything about it.
Yeah, this offensive line for Vanderbilt's blocking at a 3.8 yard per carry clip. They've only allowed 14 sacks, and I don't want to take anything away from them. That's a really good number through 11 games, and I think Pavia really makes that right.
And there ain't a lot of 5-step, 7-step drops to that either.
Yeah, true. So I do think that the defensive line obviously is going to have to be a focal point, Austin. 2 TFLs in Athens 2 weeks ago. Clearly, that cannot be the same formula. It's not going to be 15 like you saw against UTEP, but Tennessee's got to win the line of scrimmage up front.
Well, they do. And, again, I think, having good eye discipline here is going to be key. I mean, Hubbs talks about all the ball handling, and it's so true. I mean, you get caught looking one way, and all of a sudden the ball is going the other, and that's 25 yards later, and it's changing things. And Rob's right. Like, getting Vanderbilt in third and medium, third and long, that's going to be the key to getting off the field, forcing them into things that they don't want to do. And it all starts up front. I mean, when Tennessee's defensive line does what they have done most of the year, the rest of the defense plays pretty well. So I think, defensively, It all starts up front. You got to have that group play really disciplined football. You can't freelance. If you're an edge guy, you got to stay in your gaps. Don't let Vanderbilt break contain. And if you can do that, then I think that you can have some success. Get off the field and get the ball back to your offense.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's converting going into the LSU game. They were converting third downs at a clip of 46% on the year. Over 32 minutes of time of possession. They want to shorten this game. Is what they want to do. They want to eat clock, and they want to make it a limited possession game. We saw that in the second half in Athens, Georgia. Really, Georgia did that. I think Tennessee had the ball, 3 times in the second half, maybe 4. That's going to be – I mean, that's why getting off the field is such a key, and I think getting off to a good start is important in this game because, you don't want to fall behind and be playing catch-up in this game with a team – that's running some option football and are just trying to eat the clock and shorten the game up on you. How does Josh Heupel coach it? Are you more aggressive because of those things? Do you play the field position game you've been playing? I think that all depends on how you're doing on the scoreboard early in this game. That's why you got to get off to a good start. I just don't think you want to fall behind in this one and let them shrink the game down on you with the stuff that they do with the ball control offense. Because they can be frustrating, right, Rob? I mean, you look at what they can do. They can frustrate an offensive coordinator on the other team, frustrate a quarterback, make you try to do too much because you're not sure how many times you're going to get the ball if you can't get off the field on third down.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about, I'm not done a complete deep dive yet, but it's one of the things that's interesting. You talk about their time of possession. They've also run fewer offensive plays than anybody in the league. So they're milking it. That's going to you wonder how frustrated Josh Heupel will be if it turns into like one of those games where he has 4 possessions in the first half. Is he going to go for it on 4th and 2 on his own 37, late in the second quarter? But that's all the reasons you're saying, Hummer. I think if they start fast, you put them in a 10-0 hole. It takes Vandy out of everything they want to do. I mean, that keep away game, milking the clock, that goes out the window.
Defensively, Vanderbilt is holding opponents to a 55% clip, touchdowns in the red zone. They've got 8 interceptions, 12 total takeaways. They've improved greatly defending the run. They were dead last by a country mile in defending the run a season ago. That's improved to their 8th in the SEC at 123. Of course, Tennessee wants to run the football. Tennessee's got one of the best rushing offenses in the country. I think obviously that. I mean, you can say the same thing for every game. Relying on number 6, letting him get going early, and then letting Nico kind of build off that is going to be important in this start because, if you get Vanderbilt down 10-0 hole, I mean, it's really difficult for that offense to climb out of it. Whereas if they're holding the football and running for first downs and doing some things, they can certainly pester you.
Hey, just run on the screen. I have to jump in here. Let's say Tennessee wins the toss. Traditionally, Josh Heupel defers. But because of the way Vanderbilt plays, do you take the ball in this game just to get your offense on the field?
No, I don't think he does. I mean, I think that Josh Heupel is such a big believer in the middle 8 and the ability to flip the game in the middle 8 with a late score and then to start the second half with the score. I just think that he will continue to go in the trend that he has done in the past, which is
I bring that up just because Arkansas, they got it and they kept the ball for more than half the first quarter before you ever.
Yeah, no, I agree. I understand what you're saying. I think that Josh Heupel is going to believe in his defense.
Sure.
We're sitting here talking about all these numbers, and then you look at what LSU did to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt only converted 2 of 10 third downs in the game. Vanderbilt had the football 25 minutes and 17 seconds. LSU 34-43. LSU completely flipped the script on Vanderbilt and what they like to do. And that was with giving up an early score on a double move, right? So I think you got to believe in your defense. And I just think Tennessee's got to get off to a good start there. I see your point, but I think Josh Heupel believes in his defense enough that he's going to continue to play that middle 8 game if he can. I think if Vanderbilt wins the toss, they do take the football because they want to try to keep Tennessee on the sideline and slow it down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I will tell you this. I think what Rob's saying is correct. If you can jump out of it's like a team. It's like playing a team in high school that runs the wing tee. And if you can get up on them early and force them to be who they are not, then that's when you really start to kind of, run downhill a little bit as an offense and as a team. So, I mean, like, I think getting out of the gates in this thing is paramount, because if you can take Vanderbilt and make them do something they're not comfortable doing and have to throw it a bunch and play a little faster, then you force them into maybe making some mistakes.
Unless it's week 2 of the high school football season, Battle of the Bridge, Lenore City ran that 2-minute offense. That was the best offense they had in the entire game. Nearly came back and won. Rob, I think hidden yardage is going to be big in this game as well. Obviously, if Vanderbilt's going to win this football game, they got to win special teams. They've got a pretty good special teams unit. Knox Catholic alum is the place kicker. He's booted 5 50-yard-plus field goals on the season so far. They've got a really good returner that's very comparable to Boo Carter. He's averaging 16 yards per return. He has taken one back to the house. Tennessee needs to be good on special teams, obviously, with Boo Carter returning punts. They need to be good with their coverage units and all that because, again, you do not want to start off the way you did against UTEP offensively. But if your special teams is helping you and, of course, your defense is helping you, then it's, you're buying yourself some time, and we've seen that a lot of times this year.
Yeah, and I think, against this kind of offense that you're seeing in Vandy, you got to love what you see from Jackson Ross the last couple of weeks, and he's been sharp. He put 2 inside the 10 last week. I don't know how many was it 2 inside the 10 at Georgia? I know like 1 at least, but 2, really pegged 2 down there tight, like just with a wedge. And I mean, how long? Who's been banging the drum harder for Boo to return punts? Hubbard or AP since August? I don't know, but that one. I mean, I don't know that anybody's really surprised. I don't know if anybody called it like this, but I mean, 3 straight weeks. I mean, fireworks.
Do you think, kind of on that note, Brent, do you think they just wanted to simplify things, and then just give them a little bit more, get them a little bit more, get them a little bit more? Because there's no reason why he shouldn't have been returning punts since day one, but they obviously wanted him to be a big part of the defense. So was it just kind of spoon feeding him earlier and then kind of putting more responsibility on him? Because again, he should have been returning punts since day one.
Well, I mean, I think it was about not overloading him. He was, they were putting a lot on him on defense, and I think it was about Boo's maturity. And I'm not saying anything. I don't mean Boo's a bad kid or there's a problem there or whatever. But I mean, he's a freshman. Everything in football's come easy for him. I think if you talk to people, Austin, within the program, Boo Carter made a real shift in kind of his preparation for games after the loss to Arkansas. And I think that preparation has continued to improve, that he's gained everybody's trust. And, they were finally willing to put him back there, which I think should have happened earlier. Okay, I've been saying that for a while because I don't think you have to be coached to make the first guy miss. You either have that or you don't have that. And he clearly has that. But I think Boo's preparation has been much better since that loss at Arkansas. I think it's built throughout the middle part of this season.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just going to say on the special teams big picture, I think that's another reason you like Tennessee in this matchup because they don't have holes there. I mean, Max Gilbert went through that one lull midseason, but I mean, they're not a team where they have holes in special teams. They haven't given up returns. I mean, they haven't, just had a guy that shakes them. I mean, they make stuff happen on special teams. I mean, stuff doesn't happen to them.
Yeah, and to your point on Jackson Ross, Rob, 14 punts inside the 10-yard line this season. He has 5 of those 14 punts finished inside the 5-yard line. Just been an incredible weapon for Tennessee, and Josh Heupel has rode that weapon. He's played field position football. I mean, which is totally against what he did the first couple of years when it was, hey, I mean, he had the one deal this year where he went for it from his own 22 or whatever that was, and we're all like, well, what are you
his
doing?
Own like 12, I think.
Yeah, which that one was a head scratcher, but otherwise, at midfield, he's played a lot of field position football. Will he continue to do that and trust his defense? My guess is he probably will on Saturday because of the weapon that Jackson Ross has created for them.
Hey, give the coverage units credit as well. Jacoby Thomas, Jalen McMurray, John Slaughter. I mean, they've been busting their tails getting down there and down on those punts too. So they've done a fantastic job.
And I mean, Jackson Ross holds it like 4 seconds back there. Before
that's true.
He gives you about a 30-yard head start as a gunner. I'm not saying those guys aren't going hard, but
he did against UTEP for sure. I mean, he held that for at some point. I was like, is he going to throw it? I mean, what's he doing back there?
One of them, I just said run because it was wide open. I thought he could have easily got the first down on that one, but he's obviously been a huge weapon.
One guy, obviously, there's the gimmies, Nico, Dylan Sampson, but Rob, give me a guy. It's got to click for Tennessee to have a successful day in Nashville, and of course get that win again.
Wait a minute, this is my question for the Rocky Top Roundtable. You can't.
This is your question.
You can't be stealing.
I mean, I'm not saying this guy's not going to win or lose the game for Tennessee, but I think, Peyton Lewis has got to show up and be good. I mean, and he has been. I mean, and again, he doesn't have to have 100 yards, but I don't know that you want to have Dylan Sampson going, carrying 30 times on a cold day in Nashville. So I mean, he's got to be good. I mean, again, that's not an MVP candidate, but that's a small guy that's got to play a role.
What about you, Austin?
Miles Kitselman. I'm going to ride the tight ends. I think that they're a key part for Nico.
Yeah.
So I'm going tight end, but Miles Kitselman in specifics.
I'm going to go Boo Carter because I think it's going to be interesting to see what Tennessee does defensively. Are they going to play three linebackers and play that three linebacker set and take the nickel out of the equation? Or do they feel like because of the quarterback run and some stuff, they want to stay in that nickel stuff? And if they do, then Boo Carter downhill in the run game is going to be important. So is he going to be
good at that?
Yeah, he's really good. Is it going to be a Caleb Perry game with three linebackers on the field, Eric? Or is it going to be a more base defense nickel game because of some stuff that you're worried about that Vanderbilt can do and how they attack your linebackers? I think that if it's a nickel game, then Boo Carter's got to be really physical in this game.
Yeah, and typically, when they come out in 12 personnel, they go out with that 4-3. But obviously, we've seen them, switch that up, for various games and in game as well. So on that note, I'm going to go Aaron Carter. Tennessee's linebackers are going to be stressed in this game because of the quarterback and his ability. Good angles. Linebackers a couple of times against Locklear did not take good angles, and he was able to get first downs because of that. So I'm going to say Aaron Carter in this one.